we're live. Welcome back to another episode of the You've Been Mike podcast. It's your boy Joey Colo, as always, and today we got episode 35, week 14 recap, week 15 preview with some optimized lineups, standing and division leaders, some playoff talk, our picks recap, and then I got some injury updates, waiver wire rankings, and handcuffs for you guys. But before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that we are running a Super Bowl box pool. It's $20 a box. The link is on our website. We are in process of creating a new website. The link will be ybmlive.com. The link for the Super Bowl boxes will be on there, right on the front homepage, so you guys can sign up there. We're also talking about doing a playoff fantasy league. We'll talk more about that as the shows go on. We're going to be bringing you guys back more podcasts. It's been a busy couple of weeks. Went to Kansas City for my birthday to see the Kansas City Oakland game. Shout out to Selena. Thank you so much for those tickets. Sorry, Ray, but we beat up on the Raiders. It was a great birthday gift. But we're back just in time for playoff football. So on that note, let's get into it. Let's talk about some recap first that happened that we could talk about in week 14. Let's see. What do you want? Where do you guys want to start? 8 things we learned here. All right. So first, Joe Mixon is consistently back to his high-level usage from 2018. Andy Dalton's back at QB. He's been for the past 2 weeks, I believe now. He was had a slow start in the beginning of the season, but he is back to his old self from 2018. Devin Singletary from the Buffalo Bills. He takes control of the workhorse back. He's been getting all the carries. He out-touched score, 23 carries to 4. He finished with 118 yards. He's definitely a high-end running back, too, going into this week. Drew Brees, he made the 49ers defense look human again, even though they came up short at the end of the game. Drew Brees is Drew Brees. If you have him on your fantasy team going into the playoffs, good luck. Congratulations. For other people like me, I have Drew Brees on my team, but I'm not in the playoffs, so he is out of that. Another guy, we got Raheem Mostert. He had another phenomenal game for San Francisco, 109 all-purpose yards with 2 touchdowns. He's starting to become the number 1 back over there. Jameis Winston, he fractured his hand this past game. He played through it and scored 5 touchdowns. So if you have Jameis Winston on your team, keep playing him. But be on the lookout for the injury report because he may not play this week or the next couple of weeks. And a big injury for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike Evans. We'll get into that, but I don't think he is coming back. Or let's see, I'll check for you guys real quick. Mike Evans was forced out of the game with a hamstring injury. With the Bucs eliminated from playoff contention, he will likely not be playing for the rest of the season. So be on the lookout for that. Devontae Freeman finally back. Played him this week in FanDuel. Did a decent job for being back, but he scored his first rushing touchdown of the season, and he's definitely going to be getting more depending on if they make it to the playoffs or not. And another guy that is surprising a lot of people in the NFL, Drew Lock, dismantled the Texans this week. He threw for 309 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he asserted himself into the franchise role going forward. So be on the lookout for those top guys. I missed one, I think. Ian Thomas. With Greg Olsen out, Ian Thomas is the number 1 tight end over there. So I recommend you guys go pick him up if he's on the waivers as well. Moving forward, let's get into some weekly recap from week 14. Top 5. Let's do top 4 surprises since we already talked about Drew Lock. We actually talked about Drew Brees as well. So let's move on to DeAndre Washington. With Josh Jacobs out of the mix right now, he's also on the injury report. What happened? Let's see. We could talk about him real quick. He was a game-time call entering Sunday, but many expected him to suit up. However, he was inactive against the Titans, and the Raiders running back is slated for an MRI this week. Given the Raiders' standing and the unknown severity of Josh Jacobs, owners should prepare to be without the rookie rusher for the remainder of the season. So be on the lookout for him as well. So DeAndre Washington, he stepped up into the role. This past week, he against the Titans, he averaged 3.8 yards per carry. Not a number one running back, but if you guys are going deep into the playoffs and you guys need a running back, definitely pick him up. Some disappointments this week. Alvin Kamara, Devontae Parker, but he got injured. He's also on the injury report. We'll talk about him some more later. Darius Geis, Rashad Penny, Mark Andrews. They were all disappointments this week, but they all ended up on the IR. Not the IR, but just the injuries list, which we will talk about more toward the end of this podcast. Let's get into more of my favorite part. Let's get into standings and divisions, where we stand right now, who's looking at the playoffs, who's clinched, who's out. I have all that for you guys right here. So right now, the playoff picture would look like this. The AFC Ravens and the Patriots are the number 1 and 2 seed. They will both have a bye as of right now. The Steelers at number 6 would be playing the Chiefs. They're number 3. The Bills would be playing the Texans, 5 against 4. The NFC side, you have the 49ers and the Packers. They are looking like they are the top dogs right now in the NFC. And then you got Vikings playing the Saints and the Seahawks playing the Cowboys. The division leaders right now, you have the Ravens with the North, Patriots with the East. You got the AFC South with the Texans, the AFC West with the Chiefs. The Ravens have clinched a playoff berth, and as well as the Chiefs, they clinched their division, the AFC West. People that were eliminated in the AFC who can no longer make the playoffs, the Chargers, the New York Jets, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. For the NFC side, you have the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the Falcons, the Lions, Cardinals, Redskins, and the Giants, all eliminated from the playoffs. They cannot make it. Let me show you guys the standings right now currently. Let's go to this one. So right now you have, hold on, let me get it up. That's the waivers for you guys. Let me get the right screen for you. Hold on. All right, so this is the power rankings right now. The Ravens, still at the number 1 spot. The 49ers moved up. Seahawks moved down a spot. Saints still at number 4, and the Chiefs have moved into the number 5 spot with the win over the New England Patriots. The Patriots finally out of the top 5. Thank God. Everybody loves to see that. I don't want to hear y'all Patriots fans crying, "Oh, you cheated, you cheated." The day after the game, you guys are getting talked about with filming the Bengals practice game, whatever. Don't want to talk about it. Win's a win, however it's done. Sorry, Tom Brady. The standings for the AFC, like I said, the division leaders right now are at the top. For the NFC, the only change that happened was the 49ers are back to the top. Seahawks fall a spot. Let's keep going. What do we got? Let's go back to the article I wrote. So with that, look forward to week 15. I can't wait. Playoff football. Everyone loves playoff football. But more importantly, spread picks. Selena still at the number 1 spot. I'll show you right there. Killing it. 10-5-1. The old man finally stepping up with his picks. 10-5-1 as well. Brian's still going strong. He's always been at the top. I'm trying to find the article that I wrote, but we'll just go offhand. Selena's still in the number 1 spot overall with 106 wins, 97 losses. Brian at 103 wins, 100 losses. Ray with a really weak week this week. Wow, how many times can you say week? With 5-10-1, not too great. I'm still coasting. For some reason, I can't break. I don't know. I can't break more than 10 wins. As you guys can see on the screen, those are all the picks this week. I was right with my super lock. Ray was right with his super lock. Brian was as well. Pops was as well. and Selena pushed on her super lock. The listeners still going strong. Another 500 over 500 week. They're slowly climbing up in the rankings. Where they moved up a spot from 6. They're now overall at 5. Ray all the way at the bottom. What are you doing, kids? Step it up. Ray is currently in the championship for the League of Legends, so we'll see what he can do with that. I don't know. Think you got it in you, kid? Let's see if you do. This week is the finals, so we'll get into that as well. All right, Ryan, it's your turn to get the shaft. You know what I'm saying? He beats us again with his 3-week win streak. Kid's on fire right now. Can't knock him. We had another terrible week. What did we finish with? Only like 107 points. We barely beat 100. Who shit the bed for us this week? Kyle Rudolph. He shit the bed for both of us. 2.1 points. He only had 2 receptions for 11 yards. Not great at all. Definitely a dud of the week in my opinion. Ryan had a big week from Ryan Tannehill with 28.54 points. He was 21 for 27 with 391 yards, 3 TDs, and 1 interception. Also, another big day from Aaron Jones, 16 carries, 134 yards with 1 touchdown. And then Robbie Anderson had another big day for both of us. He had 7 receptions, 116 yards for 1 touchdown. Beat us again. Like I said, he's on a 3-week win streak right now, making us below 500. Let's see how we end the season here. Hopefully, we can put our minds together. The problem is we have 4 of us who talk about it, and we all have different opinions. And then one guy will get shut down, but then the week that he has to play, he shows up and he's sitting on our bench because we decided not to go with him. So we got to figure out a different strategy going forward if we want to beat Ryan. Like I said, he's on fire right now, so let's see what we can do against him. Oh, also, he had his defense, the Steelers' defense, also boosted him with 18 points. He beat us by a total, let's see right here, beat us by a total of 22.74 points. So let's just say it's not going to happen again because I'm sick of losing to the kid. But anyway, let's go into week 15. It's a big week for a lot of players. Let's talk about the injury report first because there's a lot of people on the injury report going into week 15. Mark Andrews, the Ravens' breakout tight end, hurt his knee in the first half and did not return. It is reportedly just a bit of a bruise, but with the Ravens playing Thursday night, it will be tough for Andrews to get ready. Hunter Hurst will be a streaming option if Andrews cannot go. Let me fix the screen for you guys. Sorry about that. There you go. Boom. Another guy in the injury report, 2 guys from Miami, Devontae Parker and Albert Wilson. The Dolphins' banged-up receiving corps lost its top 2 guys against the Jets due to concussions. Both Devontae Parker and Albert Wilson will go through the protocol. If either cannot get cleared, someone named Isaiah Ford will join Allen Hurns as Ryan Fitzpatrick's 2 top streaming options. Another guy from the New York Jets, Ryan Griffin. Early in the first quarter, he sprained his ankle and did not return. Daniel Brown replaced Griffin as the primary tight end, but was barely targeted. Griffin is not a must-hold if he is to miss Week 15, while Brown is not an option. He's not going to get any. I don't think he's their receiving tight end at all. I think he's the blocking tight end. So hopefully, if Griffin does not play, don't pick up his backup, please. Another guy from the Jets, Below Powell. Below Powell is getting x-rays on his foot, but Le'Veon Bell should be back next week. He could be quickly dropped because Le'Veon Bell is the number 1 back over there. Jared Cook caught 2 passes between the Saints and the 49ers. Both of them went for touchdowns, but unfortunately Cook landed hard on his head, and he will go through the concussion protocol as well. I saw that catch. As soon as he hit the ground, I knew he was knocked out. He was definitely sleeping for at least 5 to 10 seconds. Hill is definitely a deep streamer if Cook is out, but he's going through the protocol right now. We already talked about Mike Evans. Um, Very doubtful that he'll play the rest of the season. They're not. They're eliminated from the playoffs, so I don't think they're going to risk it. They need to hold him for next season. Um, Jameis Winston, like we talked about as well earlier, he fractured his hand. While Winston is a terrible NFL quarterback, his absence would be detrimental to Godwin and the offense as a whole. Auden Tate, he's been dealing with injuries all season, but he was once again forced to leave from the game due to a knee injury this time. Tate is not a fantasy option if you're in the playoffs. Do not play him. I saw this on Instagram, as most of you probably saw as well. Calvin Ridley had some abdominal pain throughout the game. No one knows what happened yet, but he had surgery on it, and he will be missing the rest of the season as well. Darius Geis hurt his knee again. He was playing extremely well before that happened, but he's probably done for the season with the sprained MCL, and now is on his third significant injury since being drafted in 2018. Definitely labeled as an injury-prone guy, but have to work hard to get that back off of his rap sheet. We talked about Josh Jacobs. He's probably going to be another game-time decision, but be on the lookout if you can pick up DeAndre Washington, as he is definitely a good running back streamer if you need it. Oh, that's dope. Cool. Vance McDonald. He departed the game with a concussion after only catching one pass. Definitely far off the fantasy radar. Do not pick him up. DJ Chark left the game in the fourth quarter with a limping off the field with an ankle injury. It didn't look very serious. Hopefully Chark is good next week to go. If not, D.D. Westbrook will be the only viable Jaguars receiver, as Chris Conley and Keelan Cole just don't see enough consistent targets. Let's see. A guy that I know is definitely going to be playing this week, but he's on the injury report. Patrick Mahomes hurt his hand in the Patriots game. Got tackled after he threw the ball, landed right on it. Andy Reid said it was just a bruise. He got an MRI on it. There was no break, so definitely could see him playing after he coming back from a knee sprain 2 games later. So I can't see him sitting out for a hand injury. Another quarterback that was hurt was Tom Brady. He was definitely injured during the contest as well. Says he'll be fine for next week's game against Carolina, but he was seen with ice on his throwing elbow. He'll likely be on the week's injury report due to alignment, but he's expected to play against the Bengals this week. Wait, I don't know why it says he's playing Carolina. He's playing the Bengals. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. But another guy, Rashad Penny, he's the last on the injury report. He took a screen pass for a nice gain and then hit his head on the ground. But he also tweaked his knee as well. This has the looks of a serious injury, which is very unfortunate, especially given Penny's recent play. Chris Carson will play as many snaps as he can, with the handle of Penny likely being done for the season. So, guys, I will be putting the injury report up on our website as well, in case you guys have any of these guys on your teams, so you can just go to the game matchup sections and you'll see the injury report for every team. But let's get into some waiver pickups and running back handcuffs that I have for you guys. Number 1 on my list for this week definitely is a guy that I think if he's out there, you should go pick him up. A.J. Brown, he's only 28% owned in fantasy leagues right now still. I don't know how. This past week, he had 5 receptions, 153 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And his next 3 games is Houston, the Saints, and Houston again. So he definitely should be able to tear up that Houston defense, since they were just dismantled by the Denver Broncos. Number 2 on my list, I have O.J. Howard. Last week, he had 11 points, 4 receptions, 73 yards. He plays Detroit, Houston, and Atlanta, all 3. But be on the lookout for Jameis Winston playing, because that'll also affect him as well. Zach Pascal from the Colts. Last week, he had 20 points, 5 receptions, 71 yards with 1 touchdown. His next 3 matchups are the Saints, the Panthers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. who are now in last place in the power rankings. So be on the lookout for that. Anthony Miller, another guy on my list. 13 points last week, 3 receptions, 42 yards, 1 touchdown. Mitch Trubisky is finally looking like NFL quarterback. So he's definitely has the upside, most potential to be a great wide receiver. David Njoku only had 1 point this past week, but the next 3 games he has the Cardinals, and then he has a tough matchup against the Ravens. But then he goes to Cincy to play the Bengals. So definitely a good streaming option for the first and his last game. Like we talked about before, DeAndre Washington last week he had 21 points, 14 attempts, 53 yards, 1 touchdown, 6 receptions, and 43 yards. His next 3 matchups are the Jaguars, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Ryan Fitzpatrick, definitely if you need a quarterback, 13 points last week. He had 245 pass yards, 7 rushing attempts for 65 yards. Definitely a guy that's trying to finish out the season strong after tanking the beginning of the season. Another guy, Cole Beasley. I feel like he's been on my waiver pickup list all year long, consistently doing it at least 10 to 14 points a week. He had a touchdown and 29 yards last game. His next 3 matchups, he plays the Steelers, the Patriots, and the Jets. Josh Allen has looked like a phenomenal quarterback this season, so he's definitely going to get Cole Beasley the ball. Guy we just talked about, Mitch Trubisky, 31 points last week. He plays Green Bay, Kansas City, and then the Vikings. I know he has 3 tough matchups, but like I said, he's finally looking like a starting quarterback. So if you guys need a quarterback, go pick him up. And last on my list in the top 10, you have Allen Hurns, who had 11 points. Right now, it looks like he's the number 1 receiver out there because Devontae Parker and Albert Wilson were both on the injury report. So right now, make sure you guys keep a lookout for that because he's the number 1 guy over there. And Ryan Fitzpatrick likes to sling it. You guys know that. So be on the lookout for him as well. And I am not going to talk about all the running back handcuffs. I'll just put them up on the screen for you guys. Hopefully you're watching. You know what? Because we have the audio podcast as well, I'll go through them real quick. I'm not going to talk about the percentages. If you want to see the percentages, go on our Instagram. You can also go on our website and check out our new blog that we just started. But for those of you listening to the audio podcast tomorrow or later tonight, Raheem Mostert, Latavius Murray, Jamal Williams, David Johnson, Benny Snell Jr., Alexander Madison, Jonathan Williams, Darwin Thompson, Tony Pollard, Malcolm Brown, Raquel Armstead, Giovanni Bernard, Dion Lewis, and Gus Edwards. All these guys have tremendous upside, especially coming to the end of the season. A lot of guys are banged up. Alvin Kamara is not playing like Alvin Kamara right now. Go pick up Latavius. They're using him. These guys are getting points. They're just sitting on people's benches, or they're just sitting on the waivers. So go pick them up. I mean, it's playoff football. This could be the last week for a lot of you. Next week could also as well be the last week for a lot of you. We will be continuing the podcast show all the way through the playoffs just because our rankings are for FanDuel, and FanDuel is going to go all the way to the Super Bowl. Like I said earlier, guys, the Super Bowl boxes, we're starting them now. Want to get the list filled and done and paid for before the Super Bowl so that everybody can get their winnings the day of, if not the next day. Must have Cash App, must have PayPal, one of those. $20 to join. Guys, thank you for tuning in. We will be talking on Thursday about FanDuel rankings and more. Thursday night preview. Guys, please tune into that. Become a supporter. Sign up for exclusive discounts. We're live on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you guys for tuning in. The movement is real. Get with it or get fucking lost. Peace.